Martin is designating an entire segment of the show to voting. There are a lot of people out there that say they don't want to vote. You know, they don't like this one, they don't like that one, they don't like either one, they ain't voting. To me, that's bullshit. That's a dereliction of your duty. I don't care if you don't like Donald Trump and you think he's a racist asshole. I don't care if you don't like Hillary Clinton because you think she's racist and a liar, etc. I don't care if you don't like Johnson or the other lady, Jill Stein. Okay? You need to vote. You got to make a decision. Okay? And I don't want to hear, well, everybody's evil and I'm not going to participate in voting for anybody that I consider evil. Well, guess what, folks? Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to win. And whenever that person wins, if they do something that you don't like, you need to keep your goddamn mouth shut because you did not do your duty and prevent that person from winning. So yes, you know, when you step into that voters booth and you know, hit that button, pull that lever, you know, darken that circle, whatever, yeah, you are making a decision. But if you don't step into that voting booth, you basically are leaving that decision up to somebody else. And I don't know about you, but I want to at least be able to open my mouth when something right goes down and when something wrong goes down and say that that's my guy or that ain't my guy. But voting is a basic right. Now, as far as us minorities, specifically, and I was called out by one of my subscribers about talking about minorities and say instead of addressing black people. So I'm going to start to try to do that. But again, when it's a total minority versus majority situation, I'm going to deal with that. But in this particular case, black people, we need to vote. And I don't want to hear no bullshit from nobody about not voting. People have died for our right to vote. And by stating and not voting, you are disparaging the memory of those people who gave their lives so that we could exercise this fundamental right. Stuff is not going to change on its own. When somebody does something wrong and they are in an elected position, we can organize and vote their asses out. No clearer picture of this can be seen when you examine what happened in Cleveland and Chicago, where they voted out that bullshit prosecutor who refused to prosecute the cops in the Tamir Rice case and also in the John Crawford case. When they voted out that Hispanic bitch in Chicago, okay, for covering up the murder of Laquan McDonald and various other murders that are going to come to light shortly. So that was the power of the vote. You want to get these bastards out of office, you gotta vote. Okay, I'm going to play this segment from Roland Martin, and he's going to give us some information that I think is much needed as far as black people are concerned, because apparently white people have all the information they need as far as deadlines. Now that may or may not be true, so, and I recognize that I made a statement, so let me back up, apologize for stating that. We as black people seem to be less informed about the information we need in order to vote, the dates of the early voting periods, etc., etc., etc. I can honestly truthfully say that. We are less informed. The information is out there for everyone to be able to receive, and we need to put more effort into being informed, okay? And I was thinking about this morning. I watch, obviously, a lot of mainstream media and my local channels here in Texas. But I had to realize that I am getting much more information about what's going on both locally and across the country via social media. And it's amazing. It truly is amazing. So obviously, if you're watching this video, you are using social media. Expand your horizons. Just scan stuff. You'll be surprised about the information that you will receive just by doing a cursory scan. Once a day, once every other day. There's a lot of information out there, and we just really have to take the time and expend the energy to go find that information. I have found some amazing things that mainstream media never picked up. And I mean, the information I found was out there almost immediately upon its occurrence, and even weeks later, mainstream media never ever said anything about it. And I've tried to make videos when I come across this stuff. But anyway, let me bring in the Roland Martin segment. It's approximately 12 minutes.
All right, folks, welcome back to News One Now on TV1. Voting is a huge issue for us on this network here. And it's not just a question of voter suppression and covering those stories. It is all about us giving you the right information. So here's what we are going to be doing on this network. Between now and Election Day, we're going to be driving home the issue of one vote. Our goal also is to assist Reverend Jackson and others who have been talking about registering up to 1 million people. Now, here's part of the problem, that we have. And that is, a lot of folks obviously are focusing on voter suppression, voter ID, and fighting those issues. And you've got folks like the Joint Center, you've got folks like NAACP, Legal Defense and Education Fund, Advancement Project, they're suing. Guess what? They're going to do their jobs. You have a job to do, and that is to actually vote. So between now and Election Day, what we're going to do is give you every single day the upcoming deadlines, how to get your voter ID, what are the rules of where you are, because too many people don't have the right information. Because you have same-day voter registration in some places, you don't have same-day voter registration in other places as well. And so not only will we have the deadlines for it's time to register to vote, we'll also begin to give you the information when it comes to early voting, when it begins, when it ends, who has weekend voting, who doesn't have weekend voting. We'll be doing that under the hashtag #OneVote. We did this, folks, in 2012 when we had Washington Watch right here on TV1. And one of the reasons why I got NABJ's Journalist of the Year was because of what we did when it came to voter suppression. I'm not interested in people saying, I don't know. We're going to make sure you do know what's going on, because this is critically important. Now, many of you, of course, have seen me take celebrities to task when it comes to this. 4 years ago, I blasted Lupe Fiasco when he was talking about why he wasn't going to vote. And here's my piece. The point for me is this here. If you don't want to support a candidate, fine. Write somebody in. But when you have millions of followers and you telling them, hey, don't vote, that to me is absolutely nonsense. And so Nick Cannon has made some comments where he says that it's too much pageantry in presidential races. That's one of the reasons why he's not going to be voting. He's focused on local elections. But the reality is this here. Local elections do matter. Local elections are important, and we emphasize them on this show. But we must remind you, a president also impacts local elections. Who do you think appoints the U.S. attorney? President? Who investigates corruption in cities? U.S. attorney? Who is leading the investigation in Baton Rouge and the shooting death of Alton Sterling? A U.S. attorney? Who do you think impacts when it comes to education? Money from the Department of Education? Who appoints the secretary? President? Who impacts all the decisions when it comes to DOJ coming in, investigating police departments? Department of Justice? Who appoints the Attorney General? The President? So we have to somehow stop this whole nonsense that the president is not in an important position.
He left off the most important power of the president, and that's to nominate a Supreme Court justice. The Supreme Court has more power to effect change than any other body, either executive or legislative, because they have the power to validate whether a law or an action is constitutional or unconstitutional. And if it's unconstitutional, it is in effect invalidated. So the president's ability to appoint either a progressive Supreme Court justice or a conservative Supreme Court justice has major effect on the lives of everyday Americans. I give you striking down Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, which affected millions of African Americans, i.e., the hell with African Americans, millions of black people. And I give you Citizens United, that has totally corrupted our political process. Those were all in effect because of a conservative Supreme Court with a goddamn coon, Clarence Thomas, conservative, and Anton Scalia, which you don't not supposed to speak evil of the dead, but let's just say he was a righty. I'll just leave that there. So that not voting because you don't make a difference, that's a bunch of crap. Vote. All right, let me continue with this clip.
We believe here you should vote for the president, gubernatorial races, congressional races, state senate, state representatives, county commissioners, city councils, mayors, water district, school board, you name it. There's no election we should not be voting in. Yeah. But
he left out sheriff. That's what, black people, he left out sheriff. If you want to get rid of a racist ass sheriff, vote him out of office. Vote somebody in there that is at least going to be neutral, if not try to work with you. Sheriff, police, popo, 5-0, the person that runs the department, the sheriff. Vote.
And not vote if we don't have the information. And I'm tired of people saying, I don't know. So here's what's going to happen. We got apps out here where you can register to vote. We're going to tell you what those apps are. We have people who are leading the efforts. I've also told, because we met in Philadelphia, a bunch of different groups, I want to know what efforts they are doing. And also, I'm going to be calling out Divine Nine, Alphas, Kappas, Omegas, Sigmas, Iotas, AKAs, Deltas, Sigma Gamma Rho, and Zeta, to take your membership, put on your colors, and register folks to vote. We cannot have our institutions sitting on the sidelines paying lip service to one of the most fundamental rights we have in this country. So between now and Election Day, we have about 100 days left. We must do all we can to make sure that we all have that one vote and we use it. When we come back.
Absolutely. Get out and vote. As he said, if you don't want to vote for one of the presidential candidates, which, to me, that's kind of asinine. You got to pick one or the other. But, some people just absolutely can't do it. Fine. Then pick one of those other two people or write somebody in. But vote, because it's not just going to be those presidential candidates that are going to be on the ballot this November. There's going to be a whole lot of other stuff that's going to be on that ballot. Get the information. Be an informed voter. There's going to be all kinds of ballot referendums and initiatives, etc. Make sure that you are aware of them and what the pros and the cons are, and then make an informed decision to either vote for them or against them. It's not just the presidential election that is important. Voting affects lives. Okay, voting affects lives. And no matter how small you think your single vote is, there is strength in numbers. Those numbers win. Those numbers help us to get the things that we either want or need. Vote.